It's become clear to me again recently that I guess this is natural, I continue to redefine what it is I'm trying to do, or just rediscover with, I guess, this new clarity, because the idea is always the same. Like, the overarching goal is I want to be better and improve and push the boundaries of what I can achieve. And I tend to overcomplicate it, and I've kind of lifted. I've been lifted out of that with this newfound clarity. You know how you go through ups and downs, moments of certainty and uncertainty, and when you come back to the moments of certainty and you kind of find yourself, rediscover yourself, or it just becomes clear to you again what exactly you're trying to do. And I've sort of just eclipsed the cycle, I feel like, if that's even the right word. I've kind of, it sounds like cliche, but I've rediscovered what my actual purpose is, and how I'm going to do that in a way that's uniquely and genuine to me. Because I was kind of lost for a little while in reading what other people thought, listening to what other people thought on podcasts, and then kind of just recycling it, but not actually redefining it on my own terms and adding much to it, if that makes sense. Like, I wouldn't test the theories practically by applying an idea or a philosophy to something that I'm doing to try and improve it. And the constant learn, test, implement kind of broke down. Like, I was just learn, and I wasn't implementing them because I was kind of lost, because I didn't have the overarching goal in as much clarity as it took for me to have the motivation and the drive and the want and the excitement, that we look for in chasing goals. I was a little bit, I guess it's kind of complacent. Like, I finished phase 1 of 75 Hard, which that's a whole nother conversation, but basically I did 75 Hard and then I did phase 1 back to back with that. But I failed phase 1, I think it was 3 times within 5 days of finishing. So you do 75 Hard, which is 75 days, and then you do phase 1, which is supposed to be 30 days. But I did 75 Hard. I think I might have failed 75 Hard once, 7 or 8 days in, and then I completed 75 Hard. And then the first round, or the first attempt at phase 1, I failed at day 27, because funnily enough, I didn't drink, I'm supposed to drink 2 of these a day, and I got down to the bottom here on my second bottle. It was 2 mouthfuls left, which meant I had failed. And the first time I was yeah, cool, that's stupid of me. It's just I didn't take it too harshly, because I'm I've been so consistent, and I felt good about myself at that point, so it didn't really affect me. I was cool, I'll just keep going. I just get more time at this to, improve myself. And then I got to day 26, 27, 28, and it happened again, the same thing. And I was okay. I still had the same perspective, that's cool, I get to do it again, I get to improve myself more. But as this went on, I started to lose focus of what I was actually trying to do with it, and I was just trying to get through the days, and I wasn't actually pushing the envelope. And I was becoming I think the drink bottle was a manifestation of that in my actual actions. And I guess reflecting on it now, that's kind of why the program is so good. Yes, you gain stuff from doing these things so consistently. Like, you learn to have discipline, you learn to build confidence, self-confidence, grit, fortitude, all these things, push through adversity. But it also gifts you the clarity into and a peek inside your psyche of like how I react to adversity, and then how do I react to the next adversity, and how, I guess it's kind of mental fatigue. Like, when you go for so long, you might hit the first speed bump and it won't affect you, but the second speed bump might throw you off a bit more or demotivate you a little bit more, so you're not going as hard as you were after the first fail, and then the third fail, you go off track a little bit more. And while you're on the program, because the guidelines are so strict, if you fail in any capacity, you start over on day one. And because the guidelines are so strict, it is so abundantly clear where you are slacking and where you are compromising or talking yourself out of it. You know what I mean? And the ability to honestly look at those things and say, okay, I'm doing this, recognizing that that is not pushing you towards your goal of, like, the reason you're doing it in the first place, to be better, to push the boundaries, to be the best version of yourself. So how can I readjust, refocus, and basically recommit to the same sort of all-in attitude that I would have had before the first failure? And I guess it really comes back down to like that Rocky quote, like, it doesn't matter how hard you get hit. What is it? It doesn't matter how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep on going. It's how you react after the setback. Like, I feel like a big part of it is just keep going. And I feel like I've mastered that step. And now that I've done that and I've shown myself that I can just keep going, there's the next step, the next room for improvement is how can I keep going, but also refocus and commit even harder than I was before? How can I use that to just make me do better? And how to use that failure in the truest sense of like how to use that failure to make yourself better. I never really clocked the intricate detail of that. Like, it always made sense on a broader level. Like, yeah, failures make you better, you know, if you learn from them. But how that actually looks, and then how that neatly fits into your life, and how exactly you can get better from each setback. I mean, all the motivation is within that itself. And I find myself to lose motivation when I actually lose sight of the specifics of how this is going to make me better. And it's interesting, like, what about failure? What is it about failure that makes me lose focus and it disorients me in a way that I lose, like, I still understand the broad aspect of it, but I'm not leading with that intention. Does that make sense? Like, I understand it, but it's not at the forefront of my mind. You know? Yeah, I guess it's really hard to just stay on top of that constantly and always pushing the boundary, because like you're always at your mental limit. Well, you're always pushing very hard. You can't really say you're at your limit, because you can always do more. But it's not always about doing more, and that's kind of what I've realized as well. Like, more doesn't always mean better or harder. Like what I said before, when I failed, cool, I get to do more of the program, so I'm going to get more out of it. And that is true, but it's not always the most effective way to get better. More is required, like you have to be doing it to be able to improve at it. But just doing it isn't enough to improve to your greatest capacity, if that makes sense. So like, I'm a musician. Turning up and making music is great. And if you want to get better, that's what you should be doing. But if you're just turning up and going through the motions, or making something, like you're not trying to push the envelope and make something you've never made before, you're kind of playing it safe and sticking to what you know works more than taking risks. Like you're taking less risks essentially. I kind of lost what I was going to say. You're not going to improve as fast if you take less risks. And yeah, that's just something that's become really clear to me. And a frame that's like really clicked for me. We recorded a podcast in here last night, and a frame that really clicked for me and I think will help me keep on track really easily. Like it's hard to keep this whole concept in your mind, especially when you're fatigued, when you're working really hard, when you're pushing the envelope, you know. This frame of I'm making this content to help people, right? But I can get lost in that because it's hard for me to know exactly what someone needs. Like, to help someone, you need to have a particular person in mind that you want to help. Otherwise, you're trying to aim at a target that doesn't exist. I hope this is making sense. So the frame for me that's helped is like, I've used a version of it before where, okay, I'll make the content now. I'll make the music now. I'll make the videos now. I'll write the book now that I'll want to look back on in the future to reflect. And that's good, but I don't think it fully encapsulates what I'm trying to do. But if I expand upon that, and if I make the content, make the music that my family or someone that knows me and wants to know me more will be able to go to these things and learn about me. Like, what was Brendan like in 2024 when he was in that studio? He was just getting things started. Like, what did he do? What are the obstacles that he faced? What are the adversities that he overcame? Like, I feel like I'm not documenting any of this. I've been distracted by being consistent and doing more. And I feel, don't get this twisted, like I feel like that's the first step. You just have to turn up, you just have to do it. You just have to commit and do the thing. And then once you've mastered that, you can then lead with more and more and more and more intention. Like, this level that I'm at now is not the final level, and there's always more intention to be found. And that's what getting better is, essentially. Like, you get good at turning up, and then you get good at turning up so much that you can turn up with ease. Like, it's just a part of what you do. You don't have to allocate mental resources to it. So now you've freed up mental resources to focus on deepening your understanding of the thing. Like, you're no longer, the limiting factor is no longer, can I turn up? The limiting factor is, how intentional can I be with the time that I dedicate to this? And just with this whole book that I'm reading, like writing, and the books that I've read, and just like everything that I'm doing, I feel like it's pointing me in the direction of like, essentially what I'm doing here. Just having the truest reflection of what I'm trying to do, because that's what's going to help me the most right now in discovering what I'm trying to do and actually getting to where I want to be. But also, if I am truly doing that now, it's going to be more valuable for reflection in the future for other people that I know, people that I don't know, people that want to learn something. You know, you can't learn something if I'm not being intentional with what I'm putting out. If I'm not being intentional with what I'm putting out, it's not going to be valuable for anyone, because it's just fluff. It's just noise. And I feel like that's the reason why things haven't been happening as much, or there hasn't been an upward trajectory like I know there can be. Like I know I'm capable of. Like I feel inside myself that I have the ability to tap into a profound amount of valuable information for myself and also for everyone else. That's kind of like why I'm doing this. And I think that's true for everyone. Like, I don't think I'm special in that way. The only thing that's special is the specific value that I bring to the world. Everyone is unique and everyone has their own gifts. And everyone's journey towards bringing that value looks different. But I think the general steps look the same. Like, you first have to do the thing. And that could be anything. It doesn't even have to be something that you think is your gift, but it just has to be like, you just have to choose. Like, for me, music. I need to turn up, I need to make music. And I need to learn how to make music. I need to learn how to use the software. I need to learn how to get the musical ideas out of my head into the program, out through the speakers. Like, I need to become proficient in the technical side of it. And I think I've gotten to a point now where that is pretty seamless. Like, that is not the constraint anymore. And if it's running, for example, if you're first getting into running, you need to be able to, you just need to turn up and you need to run. That is the constraint of you getting better. If you turn up and you can run for 6 weeks, it'll become easier and easier to the point where, like, you can just run and it's not as hard as it was in the beginning. And now you're reaching a plateau in your progress. Like, you're no longer in an upward trajectory, and your focus needs to switch to what has become your new limiting factor in order for you to continue to progress. So for running, like, you can turn up, you can run now, and you're running consistently, but now maybe, like, you're getting shin splints because you've been consistent, and now you need to be more intentional with the way you're training, the periodization, the frequency, the amount of, like, the focus switches, but it also goes down, it goes in a level. You reach a new level of depth. It's no longer about, can I run? It's about, how do I plan my runs? How do I listen to my body? How can I maximize my ability to run? And just turning up and doing the thing is the first step in doing that. And it's a necessary step, and it's the first foundational block, and you always need it. Without that, you have nothing. But it is only the first step. There are things that come after that. And that's kind of what I've just realized. And I guess that's why I'm making this video. I feel like that was a really long-winded explanation, but now I kind of want to get into, this is what I've learned, and this is how I'm going to apply it now. So I've got 4, let me get this up here. Maybe just paint, to be honest. Fuck, this is horrendous. Focuses. That's not how you spell it, but I've got music. And feel free to do this with me. I think this would be really helpful in redefining your intentions. I've got music. This is in no particular order. This is the art. This is making music, the art version of it. And then I've got content, or just making videos, which is awareness of the art. And it's also to help people, and awareness of the music and of everything else that I'm trying to do. Content is essentially the marketing branch of the business that is my brand. Number 3 is the book, which is essentially the brains behind the whole thing, why I'm doing everything, my intention, and my big goals for life. The next would be my fitness and physical health, which is essentially, like, it could be physical and mental health, which increases my capacity to do these things. If you're not physically and mentally healthy, your capacity will be lower, and therefore you'll be able to do less. This is really bright. And then finally, it would be my relationships, especially with, like, my partner, which is connection. And to do this, I need to be telling the truth. That's how I can improve. So these are the 5 things that I need to be doing to improve. These are the 5 focus areas that I've got. Yours will be different, but they all should intertwine together to your overall goal, which can be said in many ways, but for me, it's just to be better and chase my potential. I'm getting better at this. This is still almost illegible, but you know what I mean? So they all serve this goal. So how can I do that? So for the music, for the content, the book, health, relationships, I think the big overarching goal that I'm realizing is just my ability to be genuine, like I've been talking about before. and authentic. And what am I going to do specifically for each of these areas of my life or what does that look like in each of these areas? So for music, it would be just writing about real stuff, focusing on cohesion. Everything in the song has to be saying the same thing, if that makes sense. And I also want it to be, I want it to have replay value. I want it to be revisitable, not just for me, but for everyone. Okay. Content. This could be like YouTube videos like this, YouTube series, documenting. Documenting is a really key word instead of like just creating for the sake of creating, with an intention that is not pure. Like previously, I would make content to be consistent and feed the algorithm, which like is a big no-no these days. And I think a really genuine, authentic way to make content is just to make content that is a documentation of your life. And that documentation isn't necessarily like a long form sit down content. It could be like just fun representations of what I'm doing, of daily life progress. It's essentially a derivative of the YouTube content. And that would look differently because you can do content in so many different ways. You can do funny content, like it can be entertaining or educative, educating. It could be educating. Oh, that's itchy. For my book, I think I need to test theories in real life more and give examples from my life of how that has worked for me, or how I've even come to that conclusion to begin with, because I think that's how it's going to be the most valuable for other people, is if I explain why it's valuable for me. And that comes back to being genuine and authentic, because you can't really speak to other people's experiences, and also like that can include other people's philosophies and theories, and that's not going to stop me from drawing upon other people's inspiration, but it's going to give me a different perspective to approach it, so that I'm not just copy and pasting it and not using it without intention. Do you know what I mean? Not tailoring it towards this specific goal or making it genuine and authentic to me. Just being transparent, I guess, as well. Like, going back to giving examples and like explaining why it was valuable to me, or why I think someone else's theory or explanation of something works really well. So health. This is something that is probably going to be one of the bigger changes. I mean, these are all pretty big changes, but just in the physical realm, like a lot of these things are mental perspective shifts, and there's not much physically going on, I guess, that would look different. But for health, I want to push physical boundaries more, and I want to be proud of my capability, and also confident in what I can do. Like, I don't want my physical health to be a limiting factor on things that I can do, because it definitely can be if you neglect it. And that will look like deliberate programming that is tailored towards progression. Programming for progression. And I mean, this is how everyone does it. Like, this isn't a new concept, but the way I do it specifically will be different, because I'll have different strengths and different weaknesses to everyone else, and how that fits into my life and the other things I'm trying to do. I think that'd be valuable for people who are trying to do a similar thing, perhaps. And relationships. I want to tell the truth, and that means not lying, but that also means not withholding the truth, because those are two different things. And in the past, I viewed not telling the truth as like it was a protection mechanism against myself, so there was no conflict, right? But I also saw it as like it would make me more of a man if I could hold it in and deal with it myself, which is true to a degree, but it also defies, I was going to say the laws of physics, but it's not really. It defies reality, if that makes sense. Like if you have an emotion or there is something you're upset about or something someone does that annoys you and you don't say anything, that feeling, that emotion, where does it go? It stays within you and you have to feel it. And I think where resentment comes from is you not expressing that emotion and getting it out of you, because that's really what you do when you say it. Especially when you're bringing it to someone so that you can communicate about it and you're on the same wavelength. You're building your own wall up and you're essentially hurting yourself deliberately by not expressing it, if that makes sense. Anyway, for a long time I thought the solution was to get better at regulating my emotions so that this wouldn't be a problem, but I think that's only half of the issue. Like, you should be able to regulate your emotions and you should be able to deal with it, but you also should be able to communicate the truth. Because if you, in my life, in my experience recently, and my partner asks me what's wrong and I say nothing, it's fine, when something is obviously wrong, her trust in me is going to be diminished because I'm not telling the truth. And previously I thought it would be more difficult if I express the truth express what I'm feeling in an emotional state in case I say something that's not the truth. But you're not going to learn to tell the truth if you're just keeping it in, if that makes sense. Like, the first step to anything is to do it more. And you can't tell the truth if you don't say anything. Like, I was using the excuse of I don't want to lie to I'm just not going to say anything. And I don't want that to be confused with like, well, I'm just going to lie and use what I'm saying as a cop-out because I'm trying to be truthful. But I genuinely think, perhaps basically what I'm saying is you have to be willing to make mistakes and fall in public if you want to be better. And in this case, I think making mistakes and saying things out of emotion that aren't true is going to be a natural progression towards telling the truth and being a better person, in my opinion. We'll see how we go. I'm not sure if that's actually how it's going to work out, but that makes logical sense to me. It's going to be tricky to navigate that and to stay truthful in my intention to myself about that, but we'll see how we go. So I think that's essentially how it's going to work. I guess I could do an individual episode on like maybe recaps or documentation of how it's actually going in each of those different branches. But I guess like if this is content, I just want to be documenting. So I'll just be documenting in a lot of different ways. Like it could be, like an example would be like the video I did showing a verse that I put on a Connor Price song. The details are kind of irrelevant of like who he is. He's a musician, and I saw a video of his on TikTok and I'm like, that's cool. This song slaps. I wonder how a verse would sound. And then like, it would be cool and creative to incorporate my verse into the video that he made and like put it in the style of his, make it look the same, and like try and seamlessly incorporate it into there, because then I could also like leverage his eyeballs onto perhaps my craft if I can execute it in the right way. You know, like it can look different in so many ways, and it could be like in a fun way, it could be in an education way, it could just be like literally just an expression of what I'm doing or what I'm thinking. So I had a session recently with someone who wanted to make a punk song, and I got the guitar out and I got an actual cool tone out of it, and I think I could make a sick track with it, like a real grungy, dirty tone. And I don't know, that's just kind of the vibe and what I'm feeling, instrumental wise. And then I want to write a song around essentially what I've just spoke to you about, but in a different way and from a different perspective. Let us see how we go. I tuning it in drop D because it'd be easy to play. I think it'd be sick to play live too. With the guitar, that'd be wild. I never thought about someone who could play it live. An instrument. But if it's really easy, I could. That's cool. Well, that's kind of cool. I don't really know what I'm doing. Is so gnarly, bro. Wait, that was cool. Oh, that was sick. Okay. I wanted to go. Okay, that was... That is nasty. Is there anything else I can do? Actually, this on the squeal sounds crazy. That's cool. There's this Foreign Money 808 that has this nice buzz. And there's also, I want to do the Chase the Money 808 as well. You know, you've got a good beat when literally anything could sound good on it. I don't know if I want how many different patterns I want and how many 808s I want in one pattern. Like maybe I have 4 patterns, one for each individual 808 and then one for all of them together. We'll try this kick as well because yeah, that kick is hard, bro.
Yo, check it, I just made this beat. Yeah. I feel like you nail the verse on this. The hook will go something like, okay, when I run into, okay, when I come into, okay, when I go to, when I grab it, okay, what?
Okay, my memory card is about to be full, so I'm gonna stop the recording there, and then I'll finish the beat. I think I'll record something to it, and then I'll show you the product afterwards. All right, so it's been multiple hours right now. Not all of them have been spent making this song. You know, I've been distracted, but I'm getting so hungry. I've been hungry for ages. Anyway, this is what we got.
Love is breezy, or so I thought. I got this feeling that I'm a fraud. My biggest fear is that I'm falling short. I'm pulling back so I don't need your support. But really I can't keep it in, I need to talk. I'll close the door and turn around, sink to the floor. I hear her calling in the distance as I pour. I feel the pressure in my chest, it's all I want. Come on with me, take a tour through my mind. This is where the verse goes before the next hook hits. This is where the verse goes. Yeah, here we go. Or so I thought. I got this feeling that I'm a fraud. My biggest fear is that I'm falling short. I'm pulling back so I don't need your support. But really I can't keep it in, I need to talk. I'll close the door and turn around, sink to the floor. I hear her calling in the distance as I pour. I feel the pressure in my chest, it's all I want. Come on with me, take a... And this is where verse comes in, he's like...
Fire, bro. Fire.
Love is breezy.
See you next time.
So I thought I got this feeling that